Lovely.
Stephen, I'm going to make you host. Okay, you are muted. So just so that you know that.
Thank you.
Sure. And I'm going to turn my sound off and go away, but I'm not leaving completely because I'm not quite trusting the system yet. Okay.
Well, I would suspect if Anna were to come, you'd have to,
Yeah,
when
Anna
she
just
comes, you have
came.
to let her in.
Yep.
Oh, here she is.
Hi. All right.
Thank you, Abe. Good evening, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order at 5:31. So I have a announcement. I am stepping down as chair of the committee,
Okay.
and we need someone to either be the temporary committee chair until a new chair is found, or someone needs to be the chair. And not hearing any one jump to the forefront.
We can't
I'm
vote.
not
Can we vote for the new guy? He's not here yet, right?
He did email me, say he was waiting to get a call from Grace, which could be a long time, to go and get sworn in. So maybe you have to wait till he gets sworn in to vote him in as chair.
That's true.
So what are the duties of the chair?
What are the duties?
Yeah.
Well, you got to set up the meeting. What are some of the things? I mean, I occasionally get emails from other committee folks. Like, I haven't responded to this one yet, but Mateo, who's on the Historic Commission, wants to know if we, the building committee, are endorsing the roof restoration on the signboard. I'm going to reply to him. We have no knowledge of what they're considering. We've never, we were never involved in any of this until the gazebo. I I just finished a fiscal year report for the past year, which I'm submitting. That's once a year, obviously.
Is that called the budget too?
No, it's not the budget. It's basically a review of what we did over the last year.
And the chair gets to stand up at town hall meetings and explain things going forward.
Set up the meeting, do the agenda. I don't know, it sounds simple, but
No, it doesn't sound simple.
huh?
No, it doesn't sound simple. It sounds time consuming.
Yeah, and then I mean been Jeff and I spent seemed like every day for a few weeks up at the elementary school this past summer. I mean, that's not going to happen again for a while.
Mhm.
But we have our projects we work on, got to organize those, talk to Russ, get him involved.
Right. So you and I discussed this earlier today. You're not stepping down from the whole committee.
Correct.
You're just stepping down from the chair.
Correct.
Right. And I think we're at the stage now where we have most of the condition assessment document complete. And I think we're getting to the stage where we can make our recommendations on the repairs. So you're still going to be staying involved with with following through and coordinating like I will, getting pricing and seeing the work get done, things along those lines, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah, I just today put in a lot of information uh, related to the elementary school. The only thing that, I mean, there's some other tidbits, but basically I need to access the was up there. It was close to lunchtime, which Matt said uh, was not a good time, to go rooting around in the kitchen. So I just need to either go earlier in the day or later in the day um, to get information. But I'd
so,
say that,
so Frank, let me throw this out, and you can tell me to go pound sand. And then when you do that, then we're all gonna nominate Anna anyways.
Nope. I nominate one of the retired people. Children.
No, I understand. So Frank, if Stephen and I are gonna be doing a lot of the getting pricing and coordinating the work and all that other stuff, could you take over the, I'm gonna call it almost the grunt work part of being on the committee until we get
That's,
someone crazy enough to
that's the
take
word
over as
I
chair?
work, the grunt work. Yeah, I can do that. I don't have no problems. One thing I found with this new, and hopefully it's on, I don't know if it's on. Yep, it's on. The AI portion of the new Zoom is really easy to copy and paste minutes. It's a lot better than the YouTube version, so it makes things go a lot quicker for me. And I'm on two committees now as secretary, and I'm left-handed.
Right.
It's amazing. But no, I don't mind doing it, Stephen.
So can we nominate you as the new chair until we
the
find another
temporary
chair?
chair.
Yep, until we figure out who, yep.
Yep,
So I think
Okay.
somebody should make the nomination.
Jeff just did.
Do I hear a
Okay.
second?
I nominate Frank.
Second.
And
All in favor? Cook,
Aye.
McGinn,
I,
Quackenbush,
Aye,
Dalmas, aye. Thank you.
Thanks,
aye,
Frank.
aye.
okay,
Um,
okay.
so going to the minutes, given that, well, this is one of those things that I don't know why I didn't think about this a long time ago, but previously Frank would more frequently get the minutes out on the day of the meeting. And it occurred to me that Anna, especially, who has a busy schedule, works all day, it really eliminates you from being able to, at some point, when you had some time, take a look at them. So I guess the question is, how many days before a meeting would be the time to have the minutes, say, accessible? So between then and the meeting,
Sure. A couple would be great. I did look at them today, but like, yeah, to be totally honest, I don't always look at them all the time, or I'm looking at them right as we start the meeting because it's just sort of when I've come back to it.
And I think a couple days is fine too, because even if I got them earlier, I'm not gonna look at them.
So
I
I,
got other
thing is
things.
that the problems I've had in the past, other than I'm a wait to the last minute procrastinator, have been my whole life, is how I do minutes. So I take the notes and then I wait for Grace to post. And sometimes that posting of the minutes to review, it was wonderful for me because I get to listen to the whole meetings again at twice the speed. And it just, they don't get posted in time. The new um thing is actually wonderful. Because it really, it does a summary and things. And I think I get them done a lot faster with this AI thing, using the same format I had. YouTube also had a transcript, but it wasn't it was just lots of one-line sentences, and it turned out
Mhm.
like 45 pages, so it wasn't easy to copy and paste. Where this thing is 2 pages, single spaced, has a summary, a body, and all that, and it's really neat to work with. And I'm very pleased with it. I've looked at the buildings committee one I copied and pasted from, and I'm on the town administrative search committee. And I was taking lots of notes, and they all said, "Oh, Frank's taking notes. He can be secretary." But we're not going to be, sadly, not going to be recording those going forward because there'll be an executive sessions, and executive sessions aren't recorded. But what I've learned from this AI feature on new Zoom is just it really writes things down and condenses, and it works out really well. And the neat thing is when someone speaks on the camera, they use whatever name you have up. So Jeff, you always say it always comes up just Quackenbush. Not Jeff says it says Quackenbush. So it's interesting, but I think I can do the minutes a lot sooner, preferably a day or two after they come up, because it's all instantly, it's all instantly recorded. So
Okay, well, that sounds very good, but it sounds like, say, minimally,
a few
2 days before, so like, say, 5:30 on Monday.
Yeah,
So that way, you'd have Monday evening, Tuesday evening. Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
That's fine.
Yeah, but obviously, if you can do it sooner, that'd be great. So then the next thing about minutes is, since we can no longer respond to you ahead of time, Frank,
yeah.
um, that means that we make our comments at the meeting, and then you have to incorporate those, and then you have to send the new minutes or the revised minutes so that we can then review them, which
I don't think that's what other committees do. They just say that, whatever the revise is, we add, unless it's dramatic.
well,
We could keep it the other way. I just know that two other committees can't do that or aren't doing that anymore because of the open meeting law. Because that was so much easier to have everyone type in stuff than me.
well, or I mean, the way that the library building committee has done it is Penny sends the minutes out and people individually reply to her. There's no, we cannot make changes to the minutes that anybody else can see. In other words, if I think a particular line needs to be rewritten a certain way, I would rewrite it and send it to her. Then she incorporates that into the minutes and then sends the revisions out to us before the meeting.
I can do that. That sounds good.
So are you saying that, because I asked Gabe about this today, and because it seemed to me that not being able to comment until the meeting is making it a lot more involved. And
Lengthening the meeting, which we don't want to do.
right, yeah, I mean, I would, when we go through the minutes, I have quite a few comments for the 18th. I didn't get to the next meeting, but so, from my perspective, if we can send you comments, so especially if you're able to get them out earlier because of using AI, then it gives us the opportunity to respond to you. You can incorporate and then send them out again before the meeting.
I agree with that. So
Okay. All right. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So minutes.
you want to review that? You want to do that for the next meeting? Review these three meetings and do that, or do you want to just painstakingly go through it now?
Well, I'd like to present some of my concerns because it might help you in dealing with the minutes.
Okay.
Um, So if you have the 18th, if you're looking at the,
Yep.
so where update on Knox boxes. And that second line where it just says Knox box installation and security.
Yep.
I don't know what that's referring to. I mean, I feel like that there needs to be more description there. I will tell you, because of some of the things in here that I was questioning, did I say that? I actually watched the whole YouTube of that meeting today.
Maybe that's where
then,
the AI is not as good, but
I'm sorry?
maybe that's where AI is not going to be as good. Because I took a lot of this off, I think, the AI.
Then under the discussion about the Knox boxes, you have Old Town Hall, the old library, and the elementary school. There's also Town Hall, which is one. Because I had clarified, I think the meeting before, I had thought that Old Town Hall, Town Hall, I was saying that it had a combo lock, but it wasn't Town Hall, it's the Highway Department.
Okay.
Okay, and then if we go to, now I actually, before I realized, and I hadn't been thinking that you had sent the old style copy where we could make changes. I'd actually made some changes to item 4. But then going to item 5, it's talks about my pointing out that the exit sign above the sealed door wasn't visible. There is no exit sign above the sealed door. And because of the cabinet being there, I couldn't determine if there was panic hardware. And then later on, the very last line where you say, Stephen confirmed that there is one monitoring agency for all systems.
No, yeah.
I didn't say that. The question was raised and my answer was, I don't know. And then there was also further discussion about, the paper signs. Was there an exit sign above the front door? And you were going to actually getting back to the monitoring agency for the systems. You were going to check in on that. You were also going to check for illuminated exit sign over the front door. And all that was in the YouTube.
And this is copy and paste of there, so
Yeah.
let me look at, see, I'm gonna have to do YouTube more because kind of my kind of followed my notes, what I did.
Yeah. And then going to number 6, you had brought up about like the barrel shaped salt sheds. And, you had the $150 a square foot equaling 400,000 plus. At the meeting, you said 400 to 8,000, which I feel is better information to have. And then also you had commented then you were going to do some more research,
And that's
and it's just not mentioned. And then when you go to number 8, again, if you look at if you watch the YouTube, there's a lot of information there that's not in here, like a reference to Stephen Smolsky's report about the signboard. And you do have in there about talking about the vapor barrier, but then we talked about it and decided there wasn't really a problem that needed to be corrected. So, we weren't going to take any action on that. And you had brought up about an article from, I think, Leslie Bainbridge or a document about the property lines and how we had the 6 feet of space on each side of the building, which would allow for regrading, which you had actually talked about during the meeting about how that would be the prudent thing to do. So I'm just seeing a lot of things that if you're doing the AI, I think there's a lot of important information that's getting overlooked.
Okay, I agree. So I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to talk with Gabe and Grace and come up with a game plan because I know, well, I can just tell you what, I get an alert every time something comes up on YouTube when it's posted for for the town of Shutesbury. I get an email. The select board is usually posted within a day or so. So I'm gonna have to ask them to be able to post.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
within
they
a day or
should.
so, because that would make the minutes for me easy.
Right.
Come up with a game plan and have that done and see if that can work. So we'll do that. I do like,
Okay.
Yep.
So I just spewed all that out, and I was wondering how Jeff and Anna feel about what I see as information that really is valuable to have in the minutes. You know, do we want that, all that information that I'm referring to in the minutes? Or am I just wanting too much information?
Harry Mason, you want too much information. I think we need halfway in between. And I can't define where halfway is.
Yeah, I guess this is a balance of like how much extra effort and time it would take to make them that complete, and compared to how often we're gonna look back on it, whether that's needed. And I
Right.
think it's hard to really know because there's gonna be some random topic in 6 months we're gonna look back on, but we don't know now which topic that's gonna be.
Yeah,
I guess in my opinion, so what's most important is, the big facts and also any decisions we made.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be in the meeting minutes. And not every, this isn't a transcript,
Yeah.
Right.
so.
Well, then it sounds like, for instance, when we were talking, we had a discussion about Old Town Hall and the vapor barrier. And we kind of beat that around for a while. And then we said, okay, there's no problem with mold or anything that would say we need a vapor barrier, so we're not going to do a vapor barrier.
Right,
So that would be something we'd want, that we discussed whether or not to have a vapor barrier and decided that it's not needed.
right.
and I think that's.
So that's all we would need from that whole discussion.
Exactly, that would
But
be
we
sufficient.
want to know that we discussed it
Yep.
and that, okay.
What we came away with.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Yep.
So
Same to you, Jeff.
if that gives you any guidance, Frank.
Yeah, I see that. I'll do that yeah. I'm reading that thing what I copied and pasted. It's propose a excavating along the sides of Old Town Wall, not the crawl space, is what we talked about, and that would eliminate the need for a barrier. So yeah. So I'm gonna have to listen to both things and see how AI did.
Well, along the sides, that's actually, that crawl space is inside. That's what we started the discussion.
Taking that crawl space out is proposing, excavating along the north side of Old Town Hall is what we discussed, because that's where the depression is. So that's what I remember.
The one other thing I would suggest is when you kind of switch from a discussion of one item to another. Well, for instance, about the fire department, we talked about the entry, the rear exit doors. And then we switched to talking about the fire detection system. I would just, go to another line when you start kind of a different train of thought within an area, just so, because they are separate.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think I've beat that enough. So do you want to rework
Yeah,
these?
we'll rework these and then we'll talk about them the next meeting.
Okay. So you'll send out the 18th
Yep.
and the 8th.
Yep.
Okay. So I didn't know if anybody was going to look into exit sign requirements for the fire department or not.
I thought Jeff had said we should invite the building inspector.
Right.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
I was at,
I
just to let you
agree.
know, I'm just gonna interrupt you, Jeff. I was at the regional building inspectors meeting I do quarterly for the town. And the head building inspector went skiing a week and a half ago at Massachusetts or something and broke his hip. So he's gonna be out of work for a long time.
Holy shit.
Well, he had to have a new hip, a hip replacement, emergency hip replacement in Boston. So he's working from home, but he's not traveling, and he's out for a couple of months, and then he'll start working from home as he goes through rehab. So they only have one building inspector. Jeff, I forget his name, Jeff.
Jeff Goodgen.
Yeah, and he's phenomenal, and he doesn't mind traveling because I asked him about traveling and stuff like that. So I think I like Jeff Quackenbush's thing is, if we want to be a compliance, isn't it easier to ask a building inspector than looking into it? Have them come and say, they might just say, no, I'm fine with this,
Right, that's why that's why I think we need to get the inspector.
Right. And
He may say, with the limited number of people in the building, he might be fine with what we got. So who is the building inspector that you said we can use?
Jeff, we get his
Jeff,
name.
Jeff Goodgen. I can spell it so that I'll look it up so I don't misspell it. It's Gougeon.
go over that again.
Gougeon.
Any chance you have a number?
Yeah. 413-834-5304. Do you want his email?
Sure.
It's J Goodgen, so JGOUGEON at FRCOG.org.
Okay. Let me try to send this guy an email and see. Well, I'll explain what it is we're trying to do and see what he recommends, how we proceed.
And just so you
Okay.
know,
Huh?
he's looking at two emails now accounts. So he said, he told us in the meeting, he goes, it takes me a couple days to get through these emails. So it might take 2 to 4 days to get back to the emails he's been getting. So just understand that, Jeff. So,
Okay,
but he's a good guy,
okay,
very knowledgeable.
all right.
Oh, this is a little off topic, but Frank, I'll talk to Gabe, but I will need to say transfer to you, or somehow you have to say have access to being able to schedule the meeting and set the agenda. So I'll email her and ask her what needs to be done.
I also use Gail Flyshaker.
Actually, I think Gail might be the one in charge, so I'll send an email to Gail.
So that gives me the password to,
Well, it'll give you I think the address, the
right,
buildings at shutesbury.org address and the password.
password.
Okay.
Oh, Stephen, if
Yeah.
I contact Jeff,
Hmm.
and he wants to meet out there, but I'm leaving on the 10th,
Right.
would you be able to meet with him if he can't do it until after the 10th?
I don't see why not. I mean, there's certain days I have some things scheduled, but yeah, I mean, if he says sometime after the 10th, and let me know, and he and I can be in contact, and I'll meet him.
Okay, I think it's just a case of walking him through and
Yeah.
getting his recommendation. Okay.
Okay. So Frank, any more updates on the Knox boxes?
No, I don't like Knox boxes at all. I'm gonna be right. I've been trying to, I have to make a call. I've tried calling. I was put on hold too long, and I tried emailing, and you have to sign up and be accepted or something. So the fire department doesn't have any relations, so I can't charge that box. And when I charged and sent another email, you have to be part of, they don't sell it to anyone. I guess it's for a reason, for whatever reason, their security. So you have to sign on, when you do an email, you have to pick where you are, what division, and then I got through all this stuff and it says we cannot find your information. It sucks.
Do you think Len could sort of pave the way?
He could pave the way, or just, it's a town, maybe I'll ask Len to do it. Because the fire department's not in the system. It's funny, you click on different towns and it says
Mhm.
different fire departments are, but then you have to come to a password. So the town of Shutesbury doesn't have a Knox box access. Let me ask Lenny to do that.
I don't know if, I mean, we've talked about this, and I think it sounds like a reasonable idea, and not, terribly expensive, and it could mean, minutes of saved time getting into a building, or longer, depending on how hard it is to find the keys. But do we support, putting Knox boxes on these 4 buildings? Do we as a
Yes,
community?
I do.
I do.
Yeah, I do.
I
Okay.
also think that, we can also, the whole thing is if we have Knox boxes on all buildings, and I'm not in the construction business anymore, does it also help with their insurance, little
Yeah.
thing? Yeah, so.
Yeah, and when I was talking with Russ, about putting them on, um, he was saying that, I mean, Len's concerned about recessing them. Well, Russ was saying, with all the battery tools, you'd come up with your battery grinder. Um, and if you didn't want to deal with the Knox box, you could cut through a door. I mean, it's so easy really for somebody that really wants to get in. So the Knox boxes will make it easy, much easier, hopefully, for the fire department. And that's the real concern.
Exactly.
Okay. Next thing, did people have a chance to look through the spreadsheet and come up with thoughts about the electrical priorities list?
Well, I looked through and came up with some ideas which I wanted to kind of bounce off people.
Okay.
Um, so I'm kind of seeing that the fiber optics building, which I assume was a little thing behind the town hall,
Yeah.
and the dam house and the hearse house, there's really no work that needs to be done on those 3 buildings. That is a high priority. Do you guys agree? I couldn't find anything on the
Hearst house, dam house. Yeah, I mean, the Hearst
the
house
optics.
could use restaining, but yeah, there's
Those
nothing.
are
I
the
mean,
high
it's a new
priority.
building. You know, the fiber optic shed is quite new. I wasn't able to get into that. Frank gave me a contact to touch base with the woman, what I haven't done, but that's fairly new. And I mean, it's a precast concrete structure,
What is?
the fiber optics building.
Oh, okay. Well, if there was something that was a high priority, I'm sure they would be telling us about it.
Right.
So what I'm basically saying is I don't think we need to worry about those three buildings at the moment since we're trying to prioritize what we want to start working on.
Correct.
Okay. Then my next question was the West Schoolhouse. Didn't we have some discussions where the historical department or group was saying that they wanted to do the repairs as opposed to us? And I can't remember how that resolved itself.
Well, my memory is that early on, I did the inspection and then I went to one of their meetings to discuss it. And Miriam DeFont was still part of that committee at that time. And she first was saying that that building was their responsibility. I then later asked Becky about it and said, the Historic Commission does not have responsibility for that building. It's the Buildings Committee.
Okay.
And then there was also, and I can't remember if it was Miriam DeFont, but there was, at that meeting, I think there was this discussion about doing things that would be, quote, historically accurate. But then at some point, again, with the discussion with Becky, I found out that, that building is not on the historic register. And that one of the problems with getting a building registered is then it puts a lot of restraints on you.
Sure
So,
does.
so since it is not, we can make some decisions about certain things that we want them to be, in my opinion, aesthetically pleasing, but functionally durable.
Okay.
Um,
So I looked at the issues that we've identified on that schoolhouse. And they're not major things. They're things that you, I, and Russ can deal with this summertime. There's a little bit of trim work that needs to be done,
right,
a stone that needs to be reset.
right,
So what I'm getting at is, in my mind, the West Schoolhouse at the moment is not the number one priority.
correct.
No,
And to just interject, Dale Houle has said a couple of times
Mhm.
that on the, let's see, that would be the south side of that building, which was totally re-sided by Dale. There's a trim detail that was never resolved. And I pointed it out to him, and he was embarrassed because there's a gaping hole and it
Right.
also looks unresolved. He said that he would take care of that. I think he needs prodding, which we could do, in the spring. And he
Right.
also said that he would take care of the rotted trim that's at the base of the entry door. So,
Okay.
if he does all that, we can do the stone. And I think if we put a diverter strip on the roof just above the entry, that'll reduce or eliminate more rot and decay at the base of the door sill.
Okay. So where I'm coming from is I don't think West Schoolhouse is number one priority.
I agree.
Spear Library, I don't think we ought to be putting a whole lot more into that building right now until the town figures out what they want to do with it. We're going to be moving into a new library in, about a year. So
Yep.
I think we got bigger fish than that at the moment to deal with.
I agree with Jeff. I think that until they find out what they want to do with that library, they're going to be pouring money into it.
Right.
You can do it as a capital plan and thing and everything else. And then we come up with our, toilet, water, all that stuff, and bulk it into one, and then come up with the money to do everything, paint it, fix the
Exactly.
front and all that other stuff, rather than
Right.
piecemeal it. So that's
Exactly.
that medium low.
Medium low. Well, I agree because you remember at the very start of our reform committee, I started to work on a CPC grant because that whole front entry structure has settled. But then we decided to put it off because of a new library until, we kind of know what's going to be the nature. And we did some very minor repairs to hopefully stabilize a few things on that. So I agree with Jeff.
Okay, then my other thing on here, the old town hall. I guess in my mind, there's so many items identified. That we could be on the old town hall till, you know, till till the end of humanity. Um,
Or at
and I,
least until we die.
yeah, or the other way around, yep. So, I guess I would prefer the old town hall go to, let's say, the back burner for a while. We deal with other buildings first.
Well,
So,
I would suggest two things at Old Town Hall. I would suggest a very minor repair, if you will, to the foundation on the north side and regrading to keep water out of the crawl space.
yeah, you mean, yeah, fill in the holes on the north side? So what you
Yeah,
mean? Yeah,
yeah, but I think the some of that rubble foundation is
right.
exposed and very loose. And I didn't talk to Russ about this, but I can about possibly pouring a very wet slurry of sand mix or
Right.
water mix, and then grading. So
Okay.
that, and then along with other electrical things, I think it's worth making a few improvements, like eliminating this fuse box that's down in the basement and some other suspicious wiring, which, I don't think would be that costly. And as part of the whole electrical package, I think it'd be a small component. So I would suggest that those two things we deal with.
Okay, so we can better define that stuff in the springtime.
Yeah. Well,
No, because we're not gonna be doing any of this stuff in the dead of winter.
no,
Okay, so I guess in my mind, first priority buildings for us to deal with are the town hall, the elementary school, the highway department, and the fire department. Agreement there or not?
Definitely.
well, I did work up, I felt like the electrical issues are worth being, say, top priority. And so I have a bunch of things at town hall, a couple of things at the Spear Library, some things at Highway Department, some things at Fire Department, and what I just mentioned at Old Town Hall. Nothing electrically at the elementary school.
Okay, well, I gotta find out what the frickin' dog's all excited about. So I then further looked at I think there's an electrical package we can put together. But I also think we should look at dealing with the overhead door issues at the fire station as well as the highway department.
You mean the ones that don't have a safety reverse feature?
Yeah, the ones that don't have the safety reverse features, and also the highway department. Sounds like some of those doors are in really bad shape. So I was thinking get a door company in there and have them analyze the doors. So So I guess what I'm saying is I think we should work on the higher priority projects electrically as well as dealing with the door issues. And the fire station and the highway department both seem to have some mechanical and plumbing issues.
A quick question going back to the electrical, because I'm not, what we've done in the past. Do we need to hire an electrical engineer to look at everything and come up with a plan, or do we hire an electrician to come up with a plan and then put it out to bid?
Well,
Well,
I wanted to look at what that threshold is where you need 3 proposals versus the 1 proposal. Somewhere in my mind, I thought it was like $10,000.
right. Well, I spoke with Gabe about that not that long ago. And her point is you're a lot safer getting 3 bids. Even though it sounds like 10,000 is the threshold for needing 3 bids.
Yeah, but the problem to get 3 bids is then you've got to have some kind of documentation for people to bid on.
Well,
In other words, defining a really good scope of work. Oh, look at him.
so my suggestion is, well, to answer Frank's question, since we're not expanding the scope of use of any of the buildings, I don't think that we need an electrical engineer. I think we can define the scope of work, and we can then also ask these electricians, if you see something else, we'd like to hear your thoughts, kind of thing. But I think we can define pretty closely what we want done. And we can also, for instance, we need some replacement panel boxes, for instance, where the fuse boxes are. And there's the one in the meeting room at Town Hall is antiquated and potentially a hazard given the type of breaker. So any new equipment would be, in my opinion, either Siemens or Square D,
Right.
both quality electrical panels. So, we can do that. And I would think, as we define this, Anna might even have some other thoughts about components. I mean, I don't know. Electrical wire is electrical wire. If you say you want a number 14 or number 12 copper, it's all about the same. But things like panel boxes and breakers, we can define that. In talking a little bit more about the electrical priorities, something that I heard from a number of people, like actually, this is one thing at the elementary school. About 50% of the lighting has been upgraded to LED, and the other 50% is still fluorescent. Kind of the same thing in the highway department. And I know I don't know about the school, but I know at the highway department, they got a lot of that LED, at least the fixtures. I don't know about the install, but they got a grant for that. And I don't know who we'd need to talk to see if we could get a grant for that, or should we just consider that part of what we want to do? And that is, upgrade to LED fixtures in the different locations where there's still fluorescents.
Vaguely
Well,
remember Becky talking about the town applying for those things.
I'm sorry?
Vaguely remember Becky talking about the town.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Not the buildings committee applying for grants
No,
or the.
finding out. But then the question is, how long does it take to get the grant? So maybe there's a second visit by the electrician, you know, to come and install all those. If
I
Actually, the
think
grants are
we should,
usually, were all installed.
I'm sorry,
Grants were, they were all installed. They applied for the grants of the highway department. They got them. Someone came in and either they got them or they replaced them or someone replaced them.
so that was part of the grant.
That was part of the grant. And I know the school was it was a contractor. I think the highway department replaced them themselves because it was a matter of, I think Steve said they just did it. So, but I think part of these grants are in, for the product and the installation.
Okay.
I think we should pursue a grant if we can get one, maybe through, through National Grid or
Yeah.
through some kind of, through the Commonwealth. Because it's going to take us some time to develop this scope of work anyways.
I know that the new town administrator's job is gonna, grant writing is a biggie thing on it because we lost out on grants in the past. And these are little grants that you have to constantly keep up on because the state says, hey, we have LED money right now, apply. And then you have to find all your buildings that needed the LED and upgrading and do it. Or different grants like that. So, and it's gonna be tougher and tougher because the monies are disappearing.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
So why don't we work on, I guess, prioritizing, it would be electrical work
Mhm.
at the buildings. I still believe, based on what we wrote so for the fire station, what I saw, we listed as high priority was the overhead door overhead door operators system, fencing around that propane tank area,
Yeah.
electrical upgrades, many split repairs, and plumbing issues. And then for the highway department, we again had overhead door issues, electrical issues, and then some siding repair. So,
didn't they have their panel just replaced when they upgraded their?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, new panel and they put in a standalone generator.
mhm. So I'm thinking we ought to, that's what we ought to be concentrating on the next year or so.
Mhm.
And throw in there the town hall, start with the electrical upgrades. And that's what I got out of my review of the sheet. Are you aware of anything at the elementary school that's high priority?
No, I mean, I think we dealt with the two major ones, the roof and all the rot and decay and the repainting.
Right.
And the only thing I can, well, this will be a easy fix. Up in the attic, they have these, it's under the asphalt shingle roof. They have all these fire breaks with sheetrock. And there's one place where somebody needed to access something. So they punched out a piece of sheetrock. So there's a big hole. I mean, that would be easy to fix.
Mhm.
But I think the only quote priority really is maybe the improving the lighting, only because that would be in the electrical mix. I did note that, they have two mini splits out there mounted in the courtyard, in the interior courtyard.
Yeah.
And when I was there last week, the condenser coil on one of them is totally clogged.
Hmm.
And Matt's the name of the custodian, correct? I think it is.
I don't
Anyway,
remember.
he was there and I told him about it and he said that he can clean that.
Okay.
So, but I don't remember any other.
Okay.
Well, then I would recommend we start working on getting the electrical scope defined as well as we can. And then try to figure out who would be interested.
And one other thing I'd like to mention, I think we should get out, because we talked about it in an early meeting, is take our priority list and print it as a PDF and get it to the select board, capital planning and finance committee to look at it. And not give them numbers and just say, this is what we're gonna be asking for in the future, and down at another meeting, we'll say, this is, once we figure out electrical and something else. But I think the sooner we get it to, I mean, they're about done with their next round of stuff. I know they end in February of this year. I think it'd be nice to get them a printed list of what we've done, so that they have no shock and awe of what we asked for. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, but how are you
We have no
proposing we get
major-
numbers?
Yeah, we won't give them the numbers till you just
Oh.
show what we've done and then say numbers to follow. But
Okay,
and to say that in the letter and say the numbers will follow, but this is where we are now. There's no shock and awe, we're not doing any more, $250,000 worth of roof or how much was upgrading it? Let's say you had to upgrade all the 3 electrical panels. That'd probably be $5,000, $10,000, something like that.
Yeah.
No,
From like one
The old
from
upgrade, you take
the
the
panel itself, for upgrading service to a higher.
no, we're not upgrading the service. There are 2 small fuse panels that would get replaced, and maybe several sub panels, because they don't have any main disconnects on them.
So no rewiring, just the panel swap itself, or like rewiring at the panel, but not out
Right.
of that.
Well, maybe, yeah, and within the panel there are some unusual
I mean,
connections and
maybe
things.
a few $1,000s each, but hard to say sight unseen as a non-electrician.
No, we have no shock and awe. We don't need to do
Yeah.
$50,000 worth of electrical in these buildings.
No, I don't think so.
One of those, I think the shock and awe was done when we did the school exterior and the roofs. That's what we hit hard for money, and the town had to approve it. But at least know that capital planning and finance will look at these numbers and will say, and down the road, yes, you give us $40,000 a year, and we're going to start spending it more and more because we do have a balance.
Right.
We're going to spend, $10,000-$15,000 on electrical. We're going to spend $8,000 on overhead doors and eat away at it. But at least say, don't take our monies away, or don't limit our access to monies in the future, because you've got the list. You know what we have, our priorities are, and we're working hard to fix all the buildings long term.
okay, so how do we want to get this information to the select board?
Well, Frank, if you look at the spreadsheet,
Yep.
I think you'll find that except for a couple of items, like mainly the kitchen at the elementary school, and maybe a couple other things within that area, I have done the inspecting, and this elementary school, we need to do the action levels, but the spreadsheet is, I'd say, 90% there. And just a couple things, Frank, I'm going to send, the 31st is the deadline for the fiscal year report, which I have written a draft. I'll look through it. I can submit it, but I can send that to you because it talks about the things we've done. a lot of the things we've done. And on the 18th of March, there's a scheduled meeting for the building committee with, I think would it be finance, about what we want in the way of money for next year. You know, and because we got double dip this year and we have the 70, I talked to Gabe about this. We should ask for 10 because that would then get us 40, say, for the past year and then 40 for the coming year. So
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna
And
fund them through.
excuse me.
Through
How
the
I get, how,
spreadsheet?
how am I gonna do this, Jeff, is I will print a PDF in legal form. It'll have some hyperlinks to photographs. And I will submit it to the select board, the finance committee, and capital planning. Each has individual emails that spreads out in saying, this is what the buildings committee has worked on in the past year and a half, almost, right? Year and a half. Long time. We've been,
Well, you mean in terms of the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Well, since the fall of 2022, that's when we started and started developing the spreadsheet and then started inspecting.
so, and it's an ongoing, it's always a morphing, growing thing. It's
The
not,
live document.
it's a live document. It's not stagnant. So the action levels, you know, we can wait till next week and maybe spend the day, the whole meeting on the action levels for the elementary school and send it right after that. Because unless you, off the top of your head, see any extremely high, you know, action level high that needs to be addressed at the
Elementary school?
elementary school, yeah, it's not a,
No.
no, it's
I
not,
mean, no, I
So
mean,
I think we need to have a cover letter, though, that identifies what we, the building committee, are proposing that are the high priority items we want to attack first, so that we don't have each one of these different committees looking at our spreadsheet and firing back and saying,
right.
you should do this, this, and this, and then the other committee says, no, this, and this.
Right,
So,
but we'll dictate that. I agree with you, Jeff. So we need to come up with a cover letter.
yeah,
so is it worth having spreadsheets, the spreadsheet maybe after we finish with the elementary school, assigning action levels,
yes,
printing them out for all of us, and maybe having a meeting, maybe together, where we go through and identify the priorities from the priorities.
exactly.
Right.
And that's the cover letter.
So we're looking at, our next meeting would be on the 5th to do action.
That'll be my,
And, and then you will be gone, Jeff, till when?
I leave the 10th and I come back the following month on the 4th. So I'm recommending maybe we have that meeting to look at the priorities our next meeting. Don't worry about the school before then.
So you want to meet personally on the 5th to do this?
I think it's a good idea.
Are you okay with that, Anna?
So yeah, I was just looking it up. Yep, that works.
And we can also set it as a hybrid, but I will try to have someone print up the spreadsheets and get them all to us. I've got to be at town hall tomorrow. And then we'll do an in-person hybrid meeting on the
5th.
awesome.
At Rafters.
At what?
At Rafters.
Where's Rafters?
It's a bar.
It's got to be a beer joint.
It's a beer joint.
Not gonna keep it local at the athletic club?
Oh, no, I want heat.
What town is Rafters in? I'll borrow the owl, so we have a hybrid, so.
I don't think so. So guess let's try to get a room at the town hall. Or
I don't-
the
yeah.
elementary school.
We'll do 5:30, and I don't know, can you get in the elementary school at 5:30?
I have no clue.
I don't either. I'm gonna
After
escape tomorrow.
after school program ends at 4:30. I think they lock up right after, but I don't know for sure.
Well, we do
Probably
town
town
hall, the
hall.
easiest thing, yeah, and they've got, we can also have the owl there just to set up and. Cause if it has to be a hybrid meeting and the public has to get invited and all that, and even though no one will ever show up, so.
Okay, so next meeting is the 5th at 5:30.
At 5:30 at Town Hall.
And I'm guessing we should anticipate this could take longer than an hour to go through all this.
But no more than 2,
Yeah.
or then we're gonna need a rafters.
BYOB, Jeff, BYOB.
Okay,
Put it in a paper thing, we'll be online, don't worry about it.
okay.
Like IPAs,
I like a dark ale.
dark ale, okay.
He drinks IPAs, I know that,
No
Yeah.
Repfuls.
but not too hoppy.
Oh, I do like
Not
dark ales too, so.
You said what?
I do
Agree,
like
not
dark
hot.
ales, but I don't know what he likes.
Okay. So we done for tonight,
We're done for tonight.
Mr.
Do I
Mr.
hear a motion to end the meeting?
I make a motion to end the meeting at whatever, 6:37.
A second?
Second,
All in favor? Cook? McGinn?
aye.
Quackenbush?
Great.
Dalmas? Thank you, everyone.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you.
See you, Chairman, next meeting.
Wearing bells and whistles.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Maybe, maybe our new member will be signed in by then. Night.
All right,
Night.
good night.